No. Hey, everybody. Today is going to be a little bit different. We should be live right now. Uh, I also have a dog that wants to get in here. So I am on the road today, and I just realized I can't do it on her because I had to download software. So I'm going to close this. We don't need this. I'm going to doing it from my phone, and I have the wrong glasses. So this is going to be quite the experience. Yes.
You're not going to be able to read any of the text.
Well, I will. I'll figure it out. All right. Thanks. Okay, we'll go to comments. We don't have anybody in here yet, but we will. Let's put a banner in here. Welcome to Pour Over. So, anyway, today we are uh, broadcasting from Minneapolis. Uh, we are, I'm going to have to keep looking at the phone in a weird way, so just bear with me. We went to a concert last night. We went to see the Mountain Goats. And if you don't know that band, they are fantastic. One of our favorites. Uh, Molly, it's possibly her favorite band. So this is our third time seeing them. And what's great is every time you see them, it is completely different. Let's see if I'm live. I should be live. Oh, I don't know why that's not showing. We're not doing happy hour right now. There we go.
Okay, Coco wants to be on your podcast.
Coco can be on my podcast. Hi, Coco. So, okay. Hopefully that will do what I needed to do. I'll go back to comments. We still have nobody here, which is very interesting. I did do an episode on Thursday night. I wonder if that killed it. Coco, what are we doing, honey? For those of you that do catch this, I've got somebody here finally. Yay! I am doing this live from Minneapolis. We're on the road. We got in at about midnight last night from a concert. So I am feeling this time, those of you that don't like me to do my 8 a.m. Central Time show because it's too early for you, I got my comeuppance by having to do this way. Good morning, Chelsea. Hey, Chelsea, you'll be the first to see. Let's see if you can see. That's Coco. Coco. Okay, Coco. I'll be up and down during this one. So anyway, we came to Minneapolis for the Mountain Goats last night to see that band. Go on, Coco. Doesn't like closed doors, apparently. And what I discovered this morning is, number one, I'm really tired. Number two, I'm not set up properly. I was all set to use my our good friend's computer. We also brought our laptops, but I didn't feel confident, so I was like, "Oh, we'll use her computer. It's great. It's a Mac, so I'm used to it." And what I discovered is I'd have to download Chrome. I didn't want to mess around with her stuff, so I thought, yes, Coco's out of the room. When Coco comes back, Chelsea, I promise I'll say hi. But I then realized I didn't bring the right glasses. I have up close glasses. I don't have the progressives. I switch back and forth because when I work, I usually just need the up close. But today I don't have them. So you're going to see a lot of this. So you can see my old eyes. Or you're going to see a lot of this. So you can see my old eyes. So Chelsea, are you excited for Indie PopCon? We're still working everything out. And I guess that's going to be the first part of the subject. I've got a few things I want to talk about, but Indie PopCon. Oh, good morning, Chinto. Indie PopCon. It's funny. What I've discovered with these conventions is they're very slow to respond. And some of the authors that I've been reaching out to, slow to respond. And then at the last minute, they go, "Oh, man, I wish I had responded a week ago. This is a little too late." It's like, okay. I can't reach out any sooner unless we go like a year out and I start pestering a year out. So Indie PopCon has been really good with dialogue, but it took a while to get that all kicked back in. I think that people get distracted or they're doing other things and they don't realize, like what we're doing is we're almost creating a con within a con. And anyone watching, forgive me for the weird video and audio. I'm having to record in our friend's office. We're in Minneapolis, so it's pour over on the go. Literally today, I should bring this up. I'm drinking out of a different cup. I didn't bring any cups, obviously. I'm drinking Dogwood coffee, which is a local roaster, and it is delicious. And she does it as espresso, so it's a little cup, as you can see. And then she's going to be bringing up some. We got this s'mores coffee at one of the Wisconsin cheese shops, and she's doing that as a pour over for me, so I get actual pour over today. Uh, and yes, Chelsea, we will talk about indie this week when we get back. I'm going to have to open up like a Discord channel for all the authors that are on it, so we can kind of talk about game plan. Just so you know, it will be different this time. Last time was a beta, and it's funny because this has become kind of a delta beta part 2, because we changed things. We came up with a new idea, 0 hour. We're like, wait a minute, this is a better way to do this, and it will be. It will be amazing. But for this first one, there's going to be a couple of bumps as we figure it out. That's okay. It's going to be a lot of fun. And just so you know, Chelsea, Erica will be there too with us. So this time we'll have Erica there, which is going to be a blast. So last week, I'm going to skip everything I was just thinking. Last week, we played Catalyst. Or I introduced the idea, and I think it was a pretty rousing success. When I brought it up on Thursday, we did an after hour or a happy hour version of this, which I think went really well. We had a pretty good amount of people there, and I had a guest. I had Liz Fulda from Sphinx PR answering questions about PR and marketing and that. I think that was really a lot of fun. Uh, I learned some things. One thing that I was already thinking, but Thursday proved it. And this is something that I think, when I talk about some of this stuff, I hope you guys are taking it in and applying it to what you're trying to do. Okay, I hope you're not, just hearing, oh, he's talking about how he marketed this. No, I want you to take it in and think, where do I do these things? Where can I use these ideas? Still 3. I'm going to have to keep looking like that because I can't see the thing. Look at those old eyes, man. We were out at Mountain Goats. We went and saw the Mountain Goats last night. We didn't get in until like midnight. And you can hear it in my voice. You can probably, I'm sure, see it on my face. A little tired this morning. Anyway, what I learned, I had suspected that marketing these events has changed. Uh, in the past, when I've done event type things, I've done talks on Facebook. I've done all sorts of stuff. We used to do, when we had our podcast network kicked in, right towards the end, when video was starting to really take hold, we would put out there like all week, we're promoting that we're going to be on YouTube. We're promoting that we're going to do a Facebook Live thing. Uh, and it was to our fans, people that they listen. If we had 400 people that were on the group for This Week in Geek, if you're in the group, you had to jump through some hurdles to get there. That means these are people that really want to know, right? And we would start marketing a week early, and every few days I would put something else about it, and I would do some of the things like I would pose a question, or I would try to build engagement. Engagement was iffy. That's to be expected. But then, uh, what I noticed, what I've been noticing with this show, is it doesn't seem to matter if I post it early, if I put the StreamYard up and share it. It doesn't seem. I mean, I get a few people that say yes, I'm going, but it's people that are waiting. They want to go. So it's good that I put the StreamYard up, but I seem to do better, and this is what Thursday taught me, if I push 24 hours ahead. So Thursday or Wednesday night, I did the thing where I invite people through Facebook. Then I sent out an email to the authors. Then I sent an email out to my students and said, hey, I'm doing an AMA. It's going to be happy hour. Look, it's during your time, blah, blah, blah. What happened? We had a pretty decent amount of people there. That's kind of a big deal because it showed me that, sorry if this is a weird angle, guys, it's going to be a weird one. It showed me that the short attention span that we all believe is out there definitely is changing what we can do. So what this means for you guys is, as you're developing whatever your strategy is, you got to think about this part of it. So, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place here. I got coffee in my, or the sugar from the coffee. I could feel it. There we go. Okay, so we're talking about you marketing what you do, or marketing you, brand you, and we have this idea that okay, we're going to do social media, and I've got you guys thinking about how to make a content schedule so that you're, you know, planned out a little bit. Um, I've got you working on your newsletter. I've got you working on some of these, other things, Patreon, what have you. But then there's another element, and there's something that I think is important to consider. Um, consider, no, I'm going to go backwards. We just heard all that, right? I want you to examine what works for you. Okay. What this means is, so you've got your stuff all laid out. Chelsea, you've got your list. I know we talked about last week about, how do I make a content calendar? Okay, so now I've got my strategy, I've got my purpose. Why am I doing this? What's the goal? Right? And then I go, okay, Facebook, post this day, Instagram this day, Twitter this day. You've got all your things laid out. Then you also have newsletter. When do I do it? Twice a month. What are the dates? Bam. I want to do my newsletter through Substack and have it shoot to MailChimp. And maybe I want to do something special here. So you've got this 1,000-foot view of all these different things. The more organized you are, the easier it is to do all these things. Because if you're just scattershot, trust me, I've done that a lot. You're going to have a hard time keeping up with it or keeping it interesting to you. And if it's not interesting to you, chances are it's not going to be really interesting to your audience. So now take that 1,000-foot view, look at all those things. And there's two things you have to look at. One is, which of these platforms and these ways of reaching my audience speak to me the most? If you're an Instagram person, you're like, God, I know I'm writing books, but I love using Instagram. Then lean into that. Figure out which is the platform that you love, because that's where you're going to do the most engagement from you. Second thing you got to figure out is, where's my audience? So we'll go back to that. Let's say it's you love Instagram and you've been doing this for a couple of months. You've been trying to do all these things, some fails, some wins. And what you notice at the end of it, if you go back and look at it, is, wow, when I post to TikTok, I get like 10 times the amount of shares that I do on Instagram. Or my newsletter opens are at like 58%. Now, for those of you that don't know, that's really good. I think the average is like 17 to 21% on newsletter opens, which as a marketer is great. Those are great numbers. But let's say you're getting 58% and you go, yeah, but I don't really like my newsletter. Here's what I challenge you to do. Rethink what you're doing or where your efforts are. If you've got 58% open on your newsletter, maybe put a focus on the newsletter. Think about, what can I do to make that better? Because that is where your audience is. That is where they are engaging. So I have a person I work with that hates Twitter. They're just like, nope, I'm going to drop off of Twitter. I hate it. I hate the whole thing. I hate Elon Musk. I don't like how it's going. I personally don't like how Twitter is working right now. But depending on what I'm doing, Twitter, for some of the things, is where it's at. So I have a podcast that is kind of sporadic, and when I do it, it's like an info dump for 2 or 3 months, and then I let it go dormant. It's called TTRPG Insider, and what I do is I interview people that make tabletop games, the writers, the artists, Um, and what I have found is the best marketing place for it is Twitter, even though everybody's like, I'm off Twitter. When I went back, took the 1,000-foot view of it, I noticed people were sharing what I was doing on Twitter. And the reason is I was going in and doing these, uh, you know, um, hashtag show us what you got Wednesday or hashtag TTRPG rising. And on Tuesday, people will do that and they'll say things like, sometimes it's Wednesday, I don't know what day it is. But they'll put on their uh, share your project, put a link to it, and share your main feed. That way people can follow you or whatever. And there are certain ones that it's like, okay, these are specifically for people that are in development on games. But the other is if you're a tabletop company or something, well, I have a podcast about tabletop. And when I share that on those days, my engagement goes way up. The point is, look at where the engagement is, look where your audience is. If you don't like the platform, well, as Liz said on Thursday, you don't have to sell your soul. I said you do. She said you don't. I still think you kind of have to, in that if your audience is there and you really hate it, then just figure out a way to do something there. If you've got 58% open on your newsletter, that means these are people that are engaged there. Figure out what you can do there. Okay? Now, the other element that I was talking about when I was talking about promoting only like 24 hours in advance is we don't have to look at this as my platform that I love is some normal social media platform. It is putting it out on um, Twitter or Facebook, right? It doesn't have to be that. It can be uh, it could be a podcast. It could be a TikTok. It could be a vlog. It could be your newsletter. Okay. Forget the word social media. All of that could technically be called social media because you're interacting with people. You're creating dialogue with people. But think about what's the avenue that works for you. You could even say, you know what? Where I do the best is public speaking. Okay. Whatever the device is that delivers your message that leads towards your goal, that's the one I challenge you to figure out, how do I put more effort there? What do I like? What does my audience like? If they match up, great. They don't always. Um, if it's one you hate, also figure out what you hate about it and what you can do about it. For example, I hate Facebook pages just because I'm like, there's nothing. It's the engagement is nothing. The followers, it's like I don't feel like they're real. But when you have a group, set up your page, and then create a group off your page, and put the restrictions on it that people have to sign up. Maybe it's private. Guess what? Those work great, and I'll put my efforts into things there. This Week in Geek is a great example. We have a show called This Week in Geek that we haven't produced in quite a while, and we have a Facebook page, and I just share geeky news items on there, and I get a thumbs up here and there, I get a comment here and there, not a lot, and it got frustrating. I was like, why are we even bothering with this? We're not even really doing the show, and we're still putting that there for no interaction. Then I took I made a thing called the Geeks Den, which was a group off of that. And I said, okay, I don't want to put news items in there. I want this to be more of a dialogue. So I put polls and questions. I share like video clips of things. I share stuff that is outside of geek news, more like fandom stuff. Oh my God. I'll post a screen grab of a toy catalog from the 70s, and it's got Evil Knievel on it. And bam, 10 comments. Oh my God, I loved this. Oh, look at this. Blah, 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 blah. And then they get in conversation. My Speaking of geek things, my friend Lil has a show called League of Geeks. Actually, it changed it. It's now just called The Geeks with a Z. And they were doing all those things, and they're not really on top of their social media marketing, but their show does really well. And once again, the platform that works for them, the thing they figured out is doing their show live on YouTube on like Saturday nights. As soon as they started doing that, audience went way up. For Facebook, some interaction, but then they did that thing where you could set up like a messenger thread. So their group basically lives in this messenger thread. They have a group, and then they created this thread, and my phone blows up all day with people responding in there. The key is see where the audience is, see where you can do stuff. What's funny is now Lil has not done a great job of interacting on those things. He tries, but he just doesn't really like it and doesn't really get it. But in this group, every day, I think it's because he gets a thread on his phone and he sees people writing some geeky stuff, and he's like, "Oh," he jumps into the fray and he writes stuff. And a lot of the fans on that know me because Lil was on This Week of Geek, and they talk about me and our shows sometimes, and so I'm kind of known in their geekiverse. So I go in and I write things, and Lil and I will have back and forth conversations, and the fans like that because they're like, "Oh, these two guys are both in here right now interacting with us and making fun of each other and joking around." It's like it's given them like a glimpse behind the curtain. They see who we are. We're having fun with them, and they see that we actually are huge nerds and having a great time with it. These are things for you to think about in what you're doing. Make your kind of screen of what are the platforms, then look at what's the thing I love, what's the thing where is my audience. Now, how do we marry this? Where can we do interesting things and break that whole concept of? I'm going to read this in a second. I'm having to go with my glasses, so I see Chito and Chelsea. You're both writing. I'll get there. Uh, Break the concept of here's my social media strategy, and then I don't know what to do. Think of it all as one thing. It's like if you know anything about teaching language. There's phonics, okay, which everyone's heard of that. Sound out the words, that's how you figure it out. There's another thing called whole language, which is what we did more with Molly, and my mom taught it, where you use your environment, you use everything to build your language. You're not just sitting here sounding things out. You put labels on things, you talk about things, you say what they are and what they mean, and it all makes more sense. Your vocabulary goes way up. It's looking at it as a whole as opposed to here's how we sound out words, here's how we spell this. It's all tied together. It's all part of it. I'm saying the same thing here. Make this whole marketing where you go, okay, yeah, these are my social media things, but couldn't I? Everything can throw into that bucket. Make one big bucket: public speaking, podcasts, vlogs, newsletter, my buy me coffee, uh, all of these things, right? Okay, let's read what you said here. Uh, I never, Chelsea, can I share on here? Oh, I can. Okay, forgive me for the old face. I never get into Twitter, so I kind of forget Twitter exists. And I understand that. If you don't like Twitter, if you don't have a following there, why bother with it? If you're finding that it can work for you, then find a way to use it. Now, with Four Horsemen, I have started here. This will be better. I have started not only posting to Instagram and Facebook, but I immediately share on our LinkedIn profile, which is getting a little bit of traction. And I take the same thing and I pare it down and I share it on our Twitter. And it it's funny because it doesn't have a lot of traction. A lot of people have left it. Twitter is becoming kind of a ghost town. It was a pariah and now it's becoming a ghost town. Yet there's still a lot of people there. A lot of good people that like they want something like this, or like they're ingrained in it and they're like, you know what, but I do look at Twitter all the time. I look at Twitter some and I don't really like it. I haven't liked it in a long time. Like a long time. We used to do live tweeting. That was a lot of fun. And then it kind of felt like it got broken way before Elon Musk became part of the equation. And I didn't like it, but I continued to post things there because we do get a fair amount of interaction. So, Chelsea, if you don't use Twitter, you don't like Twitter, don't put it on your stuff. Just don't worry about it. Just make sure you have two social media platforms, or think about this in a big, more uh, holistic way. All right, Chinto, I joined the Discord and have gotten the most engagement there by just giving personal experience advice. Boom. And being friendly to other artists who are asking for advice. Hell yes, Chinto. That's fantastic. Discord is one. I didn't mention Discord. Discord could be a major player in your strategy. So I did a consultation with somebody this week, and I did one of the free sessions. So everybody that's on here right now knows about my free sessions, but I'll do a free session and I actually try to solve stuff. I'm not there. It's not like a timeshare, although at the end I do talk about what my rates are and, hey, whether I can help you or not. But timeshare, like the last 20 minutes of your 30-minute thing are all about signing up. I try to fit as much in, find out what their goals are, find out some questions, see if we can answer some stuff. And then at the end, if I think we're a good fit, I'll bring this up. If I don't, I just kind of let it go, or I'll say, here's some other resources for you. This would work great. So anyway, I did a consultation this week, and it was with an author, not one of our Four Horsemen authors. And I looked at their stuff before we jumped on, and it was very much of a coaching consulting session. And I wanted them to tell me what their stuff looked like to them and where the audience was and everything. And the funny thing is, I was kind of fishing for the number one that I had seen, and I clearly had seen it. They didn't mention it until I brought it up finally at some point. Discord for them. They had Facebook, they had Instagram, they had Twitter. They'd experimented with other things. Yet I follow them on all those things and I never see what they post. I never see anything. Yet on their Discord, I get alerts constantly. And not just from people writing in there, which is good. It means people are engaging with them, but also from them interacting. And I was like, look, you have engagement. You have interest here. Massage this. Use Discord to your advantage. So, Chinto, when you say that, that makes perfect sense to me. Discord can be wonderful. There is a bit of a learning curve, just like there is for anything. You don't want to just put something out there and leave it. I did that with our network. There's a Southgate Media Group Discord channel, and I've done zero with it. Not by design. I just have been too busy to mess with it. And I'm like, okay, at some point, I'm going to launch a Southgate Media Group 2.0 where I do mine the old shows, have new content, and I get active on things like Discord. But you're right. Being yourself, answering questions, engaging with other artists, Ginto, that's where you're going to get that interest. And think of it this way. Let's go back to that holistic idea, right? It doesn't have to be A to Z. I go on Discord. I've got 10 followers. I expect one person to buy from me. Doesn't have to be that. First of all, that math doesn't work, but most people think that way. I've got 100 followers. I must be selling stuff like crazy. No, you may sell nothing. In marketing, a 2 to 3% return on outreach is considered a win. So if you have 1,000 followers and 20 people click on your stuff, that's a win. If one or two out of that 20 buy something, that's considered a win. That's how marketing works. It's not this linear 1,000 people equal 1,000 sales, or 1,000 people equal 500 sales. 1,000 people might equal one sale, which is why you always want to be looking at growing your base, making sure they're real fans, doing whatever you can to engage with them. Okay. So anyway, with Discord, you get that engagement going there, And now you've got permission. I love when people get permission for things. You've got permission where you can say, oh, hey, you know what? Conversations continued over on Facebook. I've been doing blank. I have a Patreon. Hey guys, you're asking all these questions. I don't know if you know I have a Patreon. I could really use followers. You don't have to pay. Just go in there and follow it. It would help me out. Here's what's going to happen when you do that. If you have enough people in your Discord that are engaged with you, they know they're talking to you. They feel like you're friends. And when you give them a call to action, like, can you go and just follow me on Patreon? Number one, you're going to get a bunch of people that are going to follow you. Number two, you're also going to get people that go, oh, it's only $5 a month. Oh, look, he's doing a couple of interesting value things like we talked about last week. You're going to pick up a couple subscribers. All right. What else did you write? Yeah. Okay. I just joined a community of comic artists that was already made. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, that when I'm talking about like create your own, you don't have to create your own. Just become a presence on one. So like on that Geek Show, I'm a presence. So when I go in there and I say stuff, they know that I'm kind of part of the team. I've built that kind of reputation with them. Uh, Same thing, Chinto. You don't have to do your own thing. Yeah, okay. I'm going to lay this out there. I interviewed John Lee Dumas. Only podcast nerds would probably know who he is. But he was, or he is, one of the top business podcasters out there. He has a great, great show called Entrepreneur on Fire. Um, it's not like this where I'm casual and we just kind of talk and I answer questions. His is plotted out and it's very slick, but it's fantastic. He's been doing it since like the dawn of podcasting. Believe it or not, he was in before me, which was I wasn't too far into it. I think there were 100 podcasts on iTunes when I started, so it wasn't really that big. And John had this show, and he still has it, and it's great. He does great with it. Anyway, when I interviewed him for my master's. I was writing a thesis about do you have to be a celebrity to be a successful podcaster? Uh, Spoiler, it ruins my book if I put the book out. I had to write a book, basically. You don't. I proved that so fast that the rest of the paper, the book, was telling the stories of these podcasters, how they did it, what they did, and then I got a lot of tips in there, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's a good read. I just don't know if I'm ever going to bother putting it out. It's kind of outdated now. Anyway, John, I asked him the question. This goes back to what we were just saying, Chinto, about being in groups. I said, okay, John, you've been successful. You're this name in that bubble. Uh, if you were to start a podcast today, would you be successful? Like this. And forget the fact that we spend 10 minutes talking about what success is on everything with it involved with this. Let's just go with the word successful. So I said, would you be successful? And he said, no. He said, it's so hard to get through the noise now. And then I said, okay, but how would you do it? Okay. And it was actually more like what you're saying, Chintel. What he said was, and this was before Discord was really a thing. So we're talking Facebook. He said, first of all, I would find what are the best, most engaged Facebook groups, not pages, that share audience with me. You're a writer. Where are avid readers looking for new mystery novels? Where are they? New horror novels, they're into romantasy. They're into indie comics. They're into zines. Where are the people that are into this and what groups are they in? Once you determine that, it doesn't take long to search that kind of stuff out and go, oh, here's a community I like. It doesn't mean that you can look it up, what is the most engaging, but you can tell. You can tell if every post has 20, 30 comments, okay, this is an audience that's engaged, right? Join the group. This is what he said. I would join two of the groups or one of the groups, depending. And for 30 days, every day, I would do three things like clockwork. He said he would reply to a post. He said he would, and not just a like, you got to reply to the post. He would ask a question, so make his own post and ask a question. Hey, everybody, blah, blah, blah. And then the third thing is he would, let's see, I would reply, I would ask a question. Oh, and he would share some kind of knowledge. So your first post might be, somebody wrote about, hey, what's the best paper stock to use for 11 by 17 prints when I'm selling art at a convention? And you get everybody answering, even if it's the same answer, jump in there and say, oh, well, I get my stuff from Fireball. It's 30 cents a print if I buy 50, and the quality is great. Bam. Okay. Then there is the ask a question. And you want to come up with something that this group can chew on. If you're asking something like random question of the day, it better pertain to the group. Okay. So I would ask something, even if I know the answer, I would put something like, hey, I'm investigating printing on the side of on the pages, on the edge of the pages of my book. What do you guys think? Is it worth doing that? And does it have to be in color? And wait for some responses to come in. Now, when those responses come in, always have the last word. Always make sure that you respond to it. Don't put a like, respond to it, unless it's something that you're like, oh, that's BS. I don't need to do that. But show engagement. Okay. And then the third one is share something of value. So you might go, you know what? I found a really good blog post by this person, and you share it to the group and you say, hey, everybody, I was on the gold medal Substack, and they posted this really interesting article about things you should know, blah blah blah, and then share a link to the article in the group. Once again, anyone responds, you react, you respond. Do this for 30 days. So if you're doing this in Discord, you're getting some engagement, just make sure you're with purpose doing this. Don't talk about what you do. I mean, if somebody asks, you can, but you're there just being part of the community. Here's what happens. You're earning the right, okay, which we've talked about on here. You're earning the right to share what you do. So after 30 days, what John said he would do is he would watch for opportunities then where he can post, oh, I interviewed this person on my show. Here's a link. They answered your question. Here's a link. So that first 30 days, you're not sharing links from your stuff. But after that, they now know you in the group. Think about it. If you're active in any Facebook groups or on TikTok, you start knowing certain names, right? Whether they're the admin or they're just a top contributor. You'll become a top contributor and people start recognizing your name and knowing you as maybe an authority or as somebody who's part of the community. So now when you say, hey, I did an interview with so-and-so, or I have a blog post about this, it now has made them think in terms of, oh, this is a person who's active in this thing. They know what they're talking about. I should go check it out. That's how John said he would do it. It is, in my opinion, a pretty foolproof method. It takes a little work, but you want to establish yourself, which, Chinto, that's what you're doing, whether you knew it or not, in that Discord channel. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I haven't brought up what to do, and I've been getting followers or what I do, and I've been getting followers on Instagram. Yeah, that's the other thing. When you're in a group like that, if you've said some things and you're starting to get a little engagement, people will look on other platforms. Like, hey, I wonder if that guy's on Instagram. I wonder if that guy's on whatever. Oh, he's an artist. I should go see if he has a DeviantArt page. Even before you're asking or telling about what you do, or asking, hey, would you like to see what I do? People will start looking it up. I know me as somebody who's done a lot of podcasting, that totally works on me. Uh, it has caused me to reach out to people and say, "Hey, we were in the Facebook group together. You made this really interesting post. Do you want to come on and talk about that on my show?" It works. Hold on, dropping my phone. Let's switch banners. I'm getting tired of this one. There we go. And nope, nothing new there. Okay, so for those of you that made it on Thursday, do you want me to do it later? Did you like the 7 o'clock Central time start? What'd you think? I can't believe they didn't bring me my pour over coffee. In fact, I'm going to have to ask for a charging cable too. No comments on here? Okay. Well, I can keep talking. Let me just write to have somebody bring me a charger. You bring a charger. There we go. I'm back. That was exciting. Okay. And did you write? Oh, wait, this is good. Also joined Meetup and we'll start doing in-person events. Joined a local writers group. Chinto, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly it. Looking at it holistically, you joining writers groups, you looking on Meetup and finding groups that have events. When I finished my bachelor's and I was just starting Southgate Media Group, and I was like, I was trying to get a job and I couldn't crack through. Uh, I'm kind of unique duck. So getting a decent job that actually paid, that wasn't like, working a low level job, was really hard because I kept having headhunters that would say, I don't think you're supposed to have a regular job. When somebody figures out what to do with you, you're going to be this like piece of like gold for them. But a cog on a wheel, something I could get you, wasn't going to work. So I figured I have to do things on my own. So what I figured out to do was networking. We didn't have a podcast. There was no social media per se. There was nothing to work with. So the way I did it was I joined Meetup and I found uh, local entrepreneur groups is what I specifically look for, that were having meetups. And what was cool is the one had guest speakers every month. So we'd go to there was this Moretti's Pizza near us that has a big downstairs party room. They would give it to the meetup to use. And it would be like $5 to get in. I didn't care about paying $5 for that, because I'd go in and you'd have like an hour of networking, just walking around giving cards, talking to people. I was trying to look for a job, so I was talking about that. I did not get anything out of that, but what I did do is I made a few connections, and then I'd get to watch the speaker. And other than the one time where they let a they let a local realtor speak, they were going to talk about marketing. Bull. They talked about trying to sell you a house. It was really ridiculous. I'm watching it going, you're not teaching us anything. I'm sitting here in a timeshare. You pitched it that way you didn't pitch it as what it really was. You tried to make it seem like you were going to help people. But that's what I did. And you know what? It did make connections. Did it get me anything? No. But if I were to do it today, well, I did actually. Um, just before I started with Four Horsemen, I went and I found a local meetup group. It's easy now. I don't even have to go to Meetup. I just typed in uh, local networking events, my area, and I found a group that's really active. And I grabbed a bunch of business cards, and it wasn't that far from my house. And I made myself look presentable, so no bathrobe or anything. And I went over there and shook hands. And it was during, this is interesting, it was during that I identified a need for some of these local businesses. They needed marketing help, but they didn't need like, I'm going to come in and, you know, change everything. It's not like that Star Trek thing. Your Bible is wrong. I'm going to change it all. No, it wasn't like that. It was more, I could hear it in what they were saying, these things that they needed, picking up on cues. And after talking to maybe 3 or 4 people, I decided I'm going to say that I consult on this because I could. So I started telling people that, like, oh, well, you have this. You know what? I had my own business, and actually, what I do now is I consult on it. Now, all of a sudden, rather than me handing cards, people were seeking me out at this networking event to hand me cards and said, how do we talk to you? And I'm like, hey, let's set up a free session. That was pretty magic. So, Chinto, when you're saying I'm going to meetups and doing this, that is a beautiful way to do it. Be prepared. Have a QR code, have a business card, be prepared. And this is vital. This is vital. You meet them at one of these things, make sure you follow up. I've gone to so many conventions, tons of conventions, right? And I've got like a Tupperware full of cards that I don't even know if I've reached out to every one of them. It's like my stack of shame, but I try to. And the reason I have this one bin of them is they're people that either I didn't reach out to for some reason because I was early in the process and I hadn't figured this out yet, or I'd responded to them and maybe they didn't respond back or there was no interaction. But I'll tell you what, so many times, people that I've reached out to and said, hey, it was great meeting you at the con. I want to make sure I can follow you on whatever, or I checked out your Patreon. It was really good. Tell them something. I'm now friends with a lot of these people. Next time I go to the con, I'm walking through Artist Alley, they'll know me. Yeah. So not just doing the work online. It's got to be more than that. Well, it doesn't have to be more than that. Look at holistically what your plan is. If it's for you, it's got to be more than that, then yes. Do I think it should be? Yeah, I do. I think we live in a world where attention spans are short, where people they doom scroll through their phones like crazy, or the tablets, or their computer. You've got to be there. You can't not be there. So you want to be where you can, but you want to think about what is the thing. For me, put me in a room. Give me a podcast, I'm effective. Put me in a room, I'm most effective. So for me, I know it behooves me to go out and do live events. For you, that might not be the thing. But just being online, just being in one place, it's never going to work. Not anymore. It's a different world. I'll bring it back to podcasting. This is something I've experienced a lot. I get when we had our network in full swing, I was executive producer of 150 different podcasts. And I also still do, the 2 largest podcast Facebook groups in Chicago, which makes them, I think, the biggest in the Midwest. And with that, I got lost in my thought there. I may need somebody to help wrangle me back to it. I did start doing meetups with those groups to get people engaged. I had things to sell them. I had purpose to each of these things. I completely lost it. I lost what I was going to say. You know what? It was the most valuable gold nugget of idea that I've ever had, and it's just for me now. Sorry, guys. So what other questions do you guys have? Are you wondering why I've only had 1 cup of coffee? I am too. All right. Get those questions now, because we're going to have to end a couple minutes early because my phone is literally going to die. And I had asked somebody to come bring me a cord, and I feel like I'm talking to the abyss right now. I've got no response. And I don't see, unless I do see. I do. Let's see if this works. Oh, don't have to end early, guys. There we go. All right, Chelsea, let's see. I'm an introvert, so the person stuff is harder for me. I get it. The introvert stuff is tricky. I've got a couple of them that live in my house with me. And I was talking to somebody the other day about this. I was talking to a writer. Oh, you're going to meet her. She's going to be at Writers Row. And she's also a college professor. We had a lot to talk about. And we were talking about just that. Because I said, if you're an introvert, like we'll have panels and that, but we'll try to be gentle. And I said, put us in put me or Maeve or Molly in a booth, and you would think that we are these extroverts that are rocking the world. Put me in front of a crowd. I could talk in front of 10,000 people. It means nothing to me as far as like nerves. But at my heart, I would much rather be at home in my pajama pants. I am much more introverted. Okay. And with Maeve and Molly, they always say that too, that they've got more of an introvert streak. And this author that I was talking to, she's like, yeah, I'm pretty introverted, except when I teach, I know I have to get up there and do my thing. She goes, when I go to a con, I'm trying to sell books, I do this. And what we determined is we all almost have created a character that can be that extrovert, that can be out there doing it. It doesn't mean you're like, woo, I'm going to throw on, beer hat and, be out there in the world. I'm struggling with words here. It means that we're able to put a front face persona at live events that gets us through it. And then afterwards we collapse. So Chelsea, you said that, but I worked with you in Writers Row. I saw you on panels. I happen to know you may be quieter than what you would expect for somebody at the front line, but that's also because you had inexperience at it. I think you do it a couple more times, you're not going to be as quiet. You can still, at the end of the day, be, I'm an introvert, get me the hell out of here, I'm exhausted. But you will find a way to turn that on. And we all saw it when we were at Indie PopCon. So in your other part of your world, if you're like, yeah, but going and speaking in front of people and all that, that is not my thing, I can't do it, then don't. That's the purpose of this whole thing, has been find the things that work for you, do the things that work for you. If it's giving you hives, don't do it. Okay. Chelsea, they have online events where you don't even have to be on camera. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Or be on camera, but you don't have people in the room with you, and you can be, holding your blanket and squeezing it, going, okay. Okay, Chito, it's just a way to connect with like-minded people. I get social anxiety, but have started just to get known in the community and hopefully get the boost to continue my work. Yeah. I'll put that back up. You're so right, Chinto. And Chelsea, absolutely hear that. I don't know. I think we have somebody else in here. I don't know who it is. But this is a way to connect with like-minded people. Think about it. You go to a party, you don't want to go. You're a little nervous. Like, how do I find my escape route and get out of here? Because, hey, we're introverted. We want to get out of there. And at some point you start finding your people and you get a little bit more comfortable, and maybe you're not like life of the party right in the middle of the mix, but you are happy you went. You're around people that you can share some ideas with. You go, hey, they're like-minded. That's what Chinto's talking about. You put yourself in these situations, but be gentle and find a way to find your tribe so that you do get more comfortable, so your introvert factor goes down exponentially, but doesn't mean you're going to end up on top of a table doing a go-go dance. What a weird idea that would be. Look out for Indie PopCon. That's how we're going to bring people to the booth. I'm going to be up there doing go-go dances, and no, that's never going to happen. Okay, so if we hit time, we're damn close. Other questions? We got a couple of minutes left. Any other questions or comments? Or laughing at me? Yes, I do see you laughing at me, Chelsea. So this coming week, I am not going to do a Thursday pour over. I don't think. Just watch the feeds. If I'm going to, I'll post it on there. And then the next week, I believe, is Indie PopCon, so I will not be doing it there. And oh, good, we have 4 minutes. What is the secret of marketing? See what I can answer. The real secret. Consistency, always have the last word, have a goal, and pre-think your stuff. There you go. I did answer it. Consistency. Yes, consistency. Here's what that means. When you have your schedule and you say, I'm going to post to Facebook on Tuesday and Thursday, I'm going to post to Instagram on Tuesday and Thursday, and I'm going to do a podcast that releases every Wednesday, do that. That's consistency. If the audience can rely on you being where you said you would be and you're there, that's consistency. Consistency in brand also can be part of that. So if you always are posting like a book talker and you're posting books that you're reading and that, and then one day you decide, I'm going to post my favorite dog pictures. Okay. But then a week later you go, you know what? I just announced I'm going to be posting these dog pictures and I started to pick up followers, but you know what? I don't really want to do that. I'm just going to post pictures of my feet. Guess what? That is not consistency. People are coming, they're following you because they start to know what your voice is, what you're going to be sharing. And if you keep breaking it or shifting, it's going to be tricky. Now, that doesn't mean you have to always post the same kind of stuff. If you look at my stuff, when you go to the podcast that I've done, there's consistency. When it goes to my personal, I have a few different subjects I do, and I am not necessarily consistent. When I travel, I usually take pictures of coffee shops I'm in and put coffee posts up. When we go to concerts, I usually post pictures of the concert and things like that. When we are out doing things, I take pictures of our food and pictures of us in those environments. There's my consistency. That's my Instagram. It's Facebook. I put all sorts of random stuff unless it's one of my businesses. If it's author Rob, it's stuff you don't promote your book every time. That kind of consistency won't do it for you, but you post things that tie into books or reading or literacy or something related, and you stay consistent with that. And you say, every Tuesday I'm going to post my favorite book cover, and every Thursday I'm going to post a poll question. What's your favorite genre? Blah, blah, blah. Who's your favorite character from the Wheel of Time series? Whatever. That's consistency. If you're a podcaster, I would say that to people and they go, well, what does that mean? It's like, well, don't blow your show apart every week. Don't have different hosts every week, and pick a time that you're going to release. I have a friend who releases at 2:00 every Tuesday, 2 a.m. I said, wow, that's a weird time. Most people do it like in the morning. And he said, yeah, what happens is when I started posting at 2 a.m., internationally, I had people getting it like first thing in the morning all over the world. So my numbers went way up when I went with 2 a.m. even opposed to 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. But that consistency told people it's going to be there when I expect it, and they don't drop off. Okay, this is the last thing, because we hit 9. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for the conversation and content. One action at a time will get us to our goal. And most importantly, keep hydrated. Yes. And keep drinking that coffee. Chinto, thank you. Chelsea, thank you. And whoever our mysterious third person is who did not say hello to me today, thank you. And I will for sure be back next Saturday. And there's a chance I will be back. Oh, that's Record Store Day. I'm going to be doing it. Nah, I'm not going to be out at Record Store Day doing it. I'll be at home waiting for my Record Store Day things to come. So yeah, support your local record stores. Go out for Record Store Day. There's a Wilco box set. Don't get mine, but once mine is purchased, get that Wilco box set. Record Store Day is great. Support the local record stores. You can go to their websites and you can see what stuff they have that's exclusive to Record Store Day. Get out there and do that because these are good people doing good things. All right, you guys, thank you. Thank you. Write me if you have questions, and otherwise, I will see you guys next week. Thanks, guys.